Welcome to Central City, Colorado. This was once known as the richest square mile on Earth, founded by a prospector by the name of John Gregory in 1859. Sometimes I go to mountain towns and it just seems like everything lines up perfectly. The town's prettier than I thought it would be, and I run into people who know the rich history of the town a lot better than I could ever tell it. So I'm going to let a man by the name of Mike Keeler tell you what this city is about. He's with the Colorado Wild Bunch, and he reenacts westerns throughout the state. This is roughly a 48-minute drive from Denver. So this was obviously a rough and tumble town back in the 1800s, gambling. What should people know about this town?
Well, the town originally was established in 1859.
Okay.
That's when John Gregory hit his lode gold. And then from then on, the town just kind of took off. And people started coming in from all over the country and internationally. They were coming in here to find the riches in gold. A lot of the buildings here and the walls that are out here in stone have that Irish text to it, you know what I mean? And just like the church up the street, that was built about 166 years ago.
Okay.
And it's all made out of that granite stone that you find around here, basically. This whole town is set on granite. So that makes me think those miners back then were tough guys, let me tell you.
Indeed.
Tough guys. Some of the space they had to work in was pretty narrow space also. And when they were lighting dynamite sticks, that had to have been tough to get out of there and get far enough away while those things were going up. But we had, I mean, there's stories of hundreds of mines around here, hundreds of them. Most of them are capped off today. The EPA basically came in and capped
Right. Kind of ends a lot of the mining, right?
Yes.
The EPA.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, when did they mine it out? And I say they've never mined it out. We still have a working mine down the street. But the problem is, if you're mining and you're not working that mine, it fills with water. Okay? Because they have to have that water to mine.
Right.
And so it can build up, you know, up to 1,600 feet, maybe more, deep of water. And that was one of the biggest mine disasters we had here, was drowning. 14 people drowned in that accident. They were in a hole about 800 feet deep.
Right.
And then they were thinning the wall next to the Fisk mine, which was 1,800 feet deep.
When was this? When did these miners
This
die?
was back in the mid 1800s to later 1800s. And what had happened is the gentlemen were there, were dynamiting the mine, and it was getting thinner, and eventually it broke like a dam would break.
Right.
And the guys in the Americus mine on the bottom had no chance at all. They instant death.
Right.
The water came through there and filled up that 800-foot hole pretty quick. It took the ore cars and just threw them down the mine like they were nothing.
Right.
And those things are heavy iron cars. And then also the water, you know, was so deep that they just had no chance at all to get out of there. It took them, after that disaster, it took them a year to get to the last person.
Wow.
And people back then say it was the roughest year ever because it seemed like they were burying somebody every week.
Yeah, you know, mining's not a business to go into if you're fragile.
Boy, I'll tell you, there's still a lot of people that won't even walk into a mine if they're claustrophobic at all. But
Well,
a lot of stuff around here is you know, like that.
Well, I was just up street at Nettaville. Is that how you say it? Nevadaville, and I guess it's not really a ghost town because people still live there. Like, I get comments because I've been to Cripple Creek. Last week I went up to St. Elmo, and they're like, this is not a ghost town. So
Well, let me tell you, the Nevadaville, it's kind of funny because Nevadaville used to be Nevada, basically, and they were getting everybody's mail from Nevada in this town. Because they had to change that name to Nevadaville. And so they would get their right mail and stuff. But there are houses back there. But the town is a ghost town. There's one shop when you first come into town. That's owned by somebody. It's like a little, I don't know, gift thing. Or
Has the
thing.
American flag.
Yeah, and we call him Nevadaville West. Is what
Nevadaville West. Okay.
Yeah, the guy who owns it. And then there's also the Masons Building. Now the Masons Building is really cool. In July, around the 14th or 15th, somewhere around there, the Masons put on this huge pancake breakfast there.
Okay.
And they hire entertainment, which I do a lot of cowboy westerns and stuff, so we're over there entertaining people while they're waiting in line to get in and get their breakfast.
Okay,
and stuff,
right.
But they advertise it as Mason's Building number 4.
Okay.
And the building in the inside, it's awesome, especially upstairs in their meeting room area and stuff like that. They also, on their website, they list it as the only haunted Masons building that they have.
Okay.
Also.
Right.
So yes, we do have a lot of spirits up here and ghosts and things like that people see.
How do you feel about the town now? It's like just filled with tourists and gambling. I mean, it's kind of a disgrace, you know?
I came out here in 72. In 72, there's a lot of saloons.
Right.
And great entertainment in the saloons. I mean, you could be sitting in one of the saloons having a lunch or something, watching what's going on. Somebody could ride in on a horse, order a beer, drink it, and ride right back out. Like it's no deal. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they also had train robberies back then on horseback. A lot of things have changed, insurance-wise, things like that. With my group, we're called the Colorado Wild Bunch, and we travel all over. We not only do shows in all over Colorado, but we also do them in Kansas, and we just started doing some shows in Arizona. Very cool. Place called Chloride, Arizona. And so,
it's probably more authentic down there, I imagine, right?
Definitely. But yeah, we the town at one point was over 20,000 people.
Right.
We were considered the capital too for many years, and President Grant loved it here. Him and Henry Teller, who owned the Teller House over there, the Red Brick Building, they were very, very good friends. So he came up before he was president. And he also him and his wife had family in Idaho Springs, so they would stay there in Idaho Springs at an old hotel that was before the Elks Club, but the Elks Club sits right on that property today.
Okay.
Anyway, they pulled about $130 million worth of gold out of the ground back then, which today's market, I've heard it's gone up to closer to $3,000 an ounce, pretty close.
Right.
Back then they paid $20 an ounce. $20 was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, and the hotel in the Teller House was considered the finest hotel west of Mississippi.
Really?
In 1872. And people would pay $2 a night there, and you had to be rich to do that because that was like 2 days of work in a mine for a miner.
Right.
To do that. But
Very
the town grew, and it kept growing. And we still, like I say, we still have mining going on here today. A lot of people think it's mined out, but again, it's not mined out, it's just underwater.
Right.
And back then they had hand pumps and stuff that they would pump water out of it to keep it from flooding down there. But all in all, there's just hundreds and hundreds of mines, and that's some of the reasons why we have 11 cemeteries here today too. A lot of them were fraternal organizations. You know, Mason was one out of the town, basically.
Right.
Oddfellows, Knights of Pythias, we had Redmans, we had Foresters. We just had a lot of those, and the reason they had them is because the miners that worked at them would become a member if the owner was a member of that organization.
Right.
And they considered it as a insurance policy to take care of their family in death.
So there you have it. You got the full history of the town from Mike Keeler. You can check him out on Facebook. Just search for the Colorado Wild Bunch. He does some really cool work. So big shout out to Mike, and I thank you so much for his rundown. This is just a really cool city to explore. Right now, it's mainly just all casinos. There are a couple small mom and pop shops where you can get coffee and something to eat. But if you're near Denver, I mean, go check it out. And if you're in Black Hawk, it's just down the street.